Talk about triggers and trauma, and how to change them. Save this video, save this message, save the words that I'm gonna say, because you'll have plenty of time in the year to implement what I'm sharing with you. Take what I say that serves you and leave the rest behind, okay? Because the choice of words that I use may not be ones that really resonate with you. All right, so we all have trauma, we all have triggers, we all have this thing that really gets a reaction out of us. We all have this thing, this thought, feeling, and emotion that we experience that really puts us in a bothered state, in an angry state, in a state where we feel we have no control. We say to ourselves, these people are doing these things to me to get a rise out of me, to get a reaction out of me, to upset me, to bother me. Because that's your training, that's your trauma, that's your trigger. Your triggers are your training. It's how you've been programmed to respond to your environment. That just doesn't excuse anything. This doesn't excuse what you are experiencing that activates your trauma, that activates your trigger, that activates your training, that activates your reflexes. A lot of us have come from a background of terrible training. Terrible training. And when we experience something outside of our training, it throws us off. It throws us off. We don't know how to adjust. We don't know how to handle it. It's strange to us. But how other people have been trained, it's not strange to them. So, for example, when I'm a very medically fragile individual, and I have an extremely rare genetic skin condition that makes my skin very fragile. And I can't have tape on my skin. I can't have tape on my skin. I can't secure bandages with tape on my skin. So when I go into a hospital and I tell the nurses, and they're on autopilot in their training, doing all the things, getting all the things that they've been trained to do to prepare to give an IV to a patient. And I tell them, hey, wait, stop. I can't have tape on my skin. Take that off the table. And they freeze. They freeze. They freeze. They don't handle people like me. They handle people with normal skin. And they've been trained to handle people with normal skin who can handle tape. And so they asked me, well, what do I use then? And so I come from a training of having no tape in my reality. And this person has had all the tape in their reality. So that's kind of what trauma is. That's what kind of triggers are. We know what triggers us. We know what bothers us. So that's where we need to take responsibility of ourselves, take control of ourselves, have some self-control, and consciously retrain ourselves. Reprogram, deprogram and reprogram, deconstruct and reconstruct. You need to reflect, you need to sit down and really map it out. These are the things that are said to me that bother me, that trigger me. How can I respond differently? How can I respond differently and not react? And it's hard not to react because you've been trained to react. You've built a reflex to react. And again, that doesn't excuse. That doesn't make an excuse. That doesn't make it okay. These words aren't me siding with the person that developed this reflex in you. These words aren't siding with the person who gave you bad training. No, this is just purely looking at, hey, this is how I've been taught. This is how my thoughts, feelings, and emotions have developed in my nervous system to make me react this way in a reflexive manner. Like breathing. Breathing is a reflex. You hold your breath, you have to breathe. You exhale, you got to take in more air. It's a reflex. And so that's what our triggers are. They're reflexes that we have to retrain, that we have to become aware of and be like, okay, when this comes into my reality, when this comes within my personal space, this is how I respond. How can I change that response to something that takes my power back? That takes my power back because they're trying to get a reaction out of me. They're trying to get energy out of me to extract it from me so that their senses can perceive my reaction and my energy. How can we change that? That may be you not saying anything. That may be you just being quiet. That may be you laughing at it to show them, you're not bothering me, I'm not bothered. Really, it takes practice. It takes practice, and it's not going to happen overnight. So allow yourself to just go with the motions. Allow yourself to mess up, and take note of that. Okay, I messed up. I messed up there on that reaction. I'm going to try differently next time. Recognize how it feels in the body. Recognize how the sensations feel in the body when you're triggered. And make a mental note of it. Take a snapshot. Take a screenshot with the body. And go, okay, this is how I feel. These are the things I think. These are the thoughts I feel. And these are the emotions and sensations that these emotions bring me in my body when XYZ is said to me. When XYZ action is made around me. When I speak to XYZ action around me and it gets ignored, it gets not acknowledged. And that unacknowledgement makes me feel XYZ in my body. And you need to validate that experience for yourself. And say, this is the experience I'm having. And stand on that. Stand on that experience with business. Stand on that business. Stand on that experience. Because nobody's going to tell you what you're experiencing. Nobody's going to tell you what you're feeling. Nobody's going to tell you what you're thinking. And nobody's going to tell you what emotions you're having. They might. They're going to go, oh, are you mad? Yeah, I am. And instead of saying, no, I'm not mad, in an angry way, which clearly you are, you just say, yes, I am mad. Thank you for pointing out the obvious. Yes, you are experiencing my emotion of anger. Why does that bring you so much amusement? You need to take back your power from your training. Take back your power from your triggers. And stop giving it away for free. Now, with that being said, do the things you need to do to stay in touch with me.